I feel like summertime, it has become that busy summer season, but actually, I'm practicing some self care summer moments. And the internet will have you believing that self care is face masks and a nap, which it kind of is, but sometimes it's just doing the basics. This summer, as I get closer to my mom's 1 year anniversary, I have been having some slow days, intentionally slow days. And if you are like me and you open up your phone, you look on Instagram, and everybody looks like they are living their best summer, festival, holiday, busy days full of activities life, and you're kind of feeling a bit of kind of FOMO, but you just don't have the energy some days to be living your best summer life, then here's a video giving yourself permission just to have a slow day. So whenever I'm feeling particularly griefy, I don't even know if griefy is a word, but it's a word I've been using for the past couple of months. I just go back to basics, and self-care for me is heading out to the supermarket and making sure that I have some half decent food in my fridge so that I'm not tempted to just get a takeaway because I'm feeling too mentally tired to cook. It's also just taking care of my space. I find I get a bit overwhelmed, a lot overwhelmed if there is clutter, and I had a couple of days where I just hadn't got the energy to clean up. So today I am just taking a morning to do the food shop and clean up and organize my living areas and the areas that I spend the most time. For the past couple of mornings, I have been slowly watching my bunch of peonies fade. So when I was in the supermarket, I actually had no intentions to get more, but when I went into the supermarket, there was bunches of them right at the front for €6. So I was like, okay, let's make peony season last a bit longer and give myself a little treat. So I picked up 2 bunches because one bunch on its own, it needs a bit of filler, which I will take some filler out from the garden. But I decided to treat myself to a fresh bunch. And little things like that. So like whether it's, a vase of flowers that you're passing every day that's starting to fade. Those little things make me feel a bit like, oh. So giving myself a fresh bunch is definitely a nice little pick-me-up. And I love the smell of these this time of year. And you know what? I love that you have to wait all year for a peony. They only have a short flowering season in the garden. And they're usually only available in the supermarkets and the florists from like late May and then like the month of June. And then they're gone. And you have to wait another year. So it makes you appreciate them all the more while you can get them. I love the smell of them, so I love keeping a vase next to the bed or on my desk where I put my makeup on in the morning, because just that little smell. I find the smell of fresh flowers just grounds you a bit. It brings you into the present. And they change by the day, so the peonies will hopefully, most of them will open as the days go on. So something that everyone says is really important is sleep, and the new word is sleep hygiene. I thought sleep hygiene was changing your bed sheets, but apparently it's what you do the hour or 2 hours before bedtime. And you'll probably see a sneaky little iPad behind my pillow. And I have been neglecting my sleep, as in I've been having, maybe because it's summertime, I've been having some naughty sleep habits. Well, not too naughty. I've just been watching silly videos on YouTube before I go to bed when I should read a book or try and wind down but I have noticed it has affected my sleep. So if you are trying to get a bit more energy or you're just trying to have some rest this summer, it is recommended to not have an iPad in the bed with you. 2 cats are fine, but an iPad and your phone is a no. Am I going to say I'm going to read a book before bed? Yeah, but am I going to do it? Probably not. Although I do have a decent enough bed routine. I always do my skincare and then I wear a retainer. Sexy. I wear a retainer at night, so I always have to obviously make sure I brush my teeth, stick it in. And those little basic things, like when you're really fatigued and you're feeling tired, it can be just tempting to skip those. But I make sure I don't every night. And for most people watching, they'll be like, I just do that as standard. But when you're having a bit of a shitty time, all of those basic self-care things sometimes can just feel like such an effort. So I always say on the channel, fresh bed sheets and an everything shower or bath before bed will give you the best night's sleep. So if you are struggling with your sleep, try that. Even if it only works for one night, or if you can't sleep, at least you're in cozy fresh bed sheets, so it might help. I'd love to know if you do have some fun plans for summer. So whether it's just day trips, a staycation, or if you are going away on holiday, do let me know in the comment section. I actually planned a fun day trip with 2 of my friends, which I think I will film it and I'll share it on the channel. So we're going to drive somewhere and there's a little island with puffins on them in Ireland. They come here certain time of the year, they have babies and then they fly off and you can get a ferry to this island. And I said it to my friends and they're like, actually, that sounds really fun. And little things like those kind of day trips, whether it's with friends, family, or a little solo day trip, they just give me something to look forward to, but it's not as overwhelming as having a big, expensive holiday to go on. I do love seeing people enjoying and living their best life on Instagram, but I do know to take everything with a pinch of salt and that I share my highlight reels and everyone else shares their highlights. I think sometimes just when you go on Instagram, especially on a weekend, there's so many festivals, there's so many events. You get the feeling like you should. It's that word of you should that puts pressure on yourself that you should be out living your best life, going to all of these things and doing these things. But sometimes you just need to change your bed sheets and over the floor because you've been out so much. But yeah, I hope you do have little moments of joy to look forward to in summertime. So let me know if you've planned anything nice in the comment section. Good morning. Do you remember a few videos back I went pottery painting? It was the bloom video and myself and Greta went and did pottery painting afterwards. And I said in that video that it can take, I think 2 weeks, but I think it's been quicker. It doesn't feel like I was waiting that long, but you get a notification that your mug is ready to collect. And Greta got her collection email it was a few days before me, even though we did it on the same day, same time. But it does say on the website that sometimes your friend's mug or whoever you're with can be done sooner or later. So I got my message. Now, Greta, I'll insert a video of hers. I'm sure she won't mind. Hers is beautiful and it fired. The colours came out really vibrant because if you look at on the day, I feel like the paint, I do think I remember her saying that it'll paint on pale and when it's fired and glazed, it will come out really deep. So yeah, I'm going to collect my mug. But while I'm in there, I'm sorry, I'm just looking for my runners as I'm speaking to you. While I am in there, I'll go in a few minutes early, and there's a couple of like little charity shops and antique shops on Capel Street. So I'll just grab a coffee because I'm like, while I'm paying for the parking anyway, I'll grab a little coffee and we'll have a little stroll because sometimes that's just nice to, I feel like I don't do that enough. I'm always like going somewhere with a purpose and a mission, and sometimes if I'm just on a day off, it's like, well, just go in and peruse and have a wander. So I thought, I'll bring you with you because um I you know what, the excitement in the comment section for you guys for like getting the mug back, and you're very kind. Some of you were like, girl, if you had a mug collection. Now, I don't think my painting was that good, my mug painting, but I was delighted with it. And it actually inspired me to get my paintbrushes back out. Now, I haven't gotten my paintbrushes back out, but I was like, do you know what? That would be a lovely mindful thing to do, just sitting and like doing little daisies. You know how people sketch out like mandalas and they do little sketches? I was like, there's nothing stopping me just even using colouring pencils if I'm sitting watching something and just doing like little flowers and practicing just doing that. So, because in my head, I'm like, I want to paint the Mona Lisa, but you gotta start small. And I'm like, why am I good at this? But anyway, put my runners on and let's go into town to collect my mug and have a little look in the charity shops. And hopefully, it's not going to be too busy today. I hate town when it's busy, but anyway, that's the plan. So I went in early to have a little wander around this side of town. So I parked at Smithfield. If you saw that video where I went to the flower market, I was exploring a bit around there. But actually, the pottery and painting place is in Smithfield. So I parked there and then I strolled up to Capel Street because on the day where we were doing our pottery and painting, we went up that direction to get some food. And I noticed loads of charity shops, some vintage shops. This side of town is not as popular with tourists than over the south side would be, but there is a couple of little charity shops and you might find something. It's a few minutes walk from the Jamestown distillery. So I started at the end near the river, and you've got a vintage shop, and then as you make your way up to the top of the street or the bottom, whichever way you're coming from, you'll notice lots of charity shops on either side. And I noticed that they have made this a pedestrian only street as well. So as you walk up, it's pedestrian only. It was kind of quiet when I was there, and I was sad to see that like some of the shops had closed down. But it did have a nice vibe. There's a couple of pubs along there. I saw some people getting some food, some pub lunches. A lot of the charity shops and vintage shops had loads of clothing. So usually when I go into them, I'm looking at the homewares. I'm looking for some trinkets. I'm looking to see if they have a piece of furniture or two. I noticed a lot of shops along here had lots of clothing and everything was in really good condition. One of the shops, I think it was Vision Ireland, had the tidiest displays. And I have a retail background, and I was like, the standards in here are amazing. Really nice visuals, lovely mannequins. The window was perfection. All of the items were steamed and they didn't smell like charity shops. You know how sometimes you get that old smell? No, everything, the standards were high in the shops along this street. Now, if you keep walking up and just if you turn right, there was also an antique shop. There was two of them beside each other, but one of them wasn't open. And I did also pop into that antique shop. And I kind of just did a walk and a lap, like a loop back on myself. And then, yeah, I just headed back towards Smithfield then. So it was a nice little stroll. It was like a half-hour walk. Well, probably a bit more because I was shopping I was having a little window shop. I actually didn't buy anything today. If you have watched the thrifting playlist, I did quite well in some recent car boot sales. So if you like that kind of vibe of video, I do have a playlist. It's the thrifting playlist and I go to a lot of the car boot sales. I think in the US and Canada you call it a flea market or a yard sale. I think a flea market you call it. We call it a car boot sale here, a car booty. So yeah, I was very well behaved today. I didn't buy anything, saw lots of cute stuff, and I just collected my mug. But let me know if you have visited any of the shops around this area. If you are visiting Francis Street, just over the south side. It's actually quite easy to get to from Smithfield. You just cross over the bridge and it's about like a 15-minute walk. It's up past Thomas Street. Francis Street has loads of antique shops. Like the whole street is antique shops, and it recently got like a refurb the past couple of years, so that road is looking very fancy. There's also some cute coffee shops along there as well. But if you are big into your antiques and looking to spend a bit more, I do have a video where I visited O'Sullivan's Antiques. Some of the antique shops look so fancy, I'm afraid to go inside them in case I break something. But if you are serious about that kind of thing, Francis Street isn't too far of a walk from here. You can have a look on Google before to do some research. But yeah, definitely check that one out if you're looking, if you're doing a visit and you want to find something different.
This is as good a day as any to start the rebuilding of life. The roads that lay open are many when the old one's gone under the knife. And I can feel the sun on my skin, beginning to thaw from within. Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow. Today is a good day to live. This morning has a clearer light as any to see the horizon in the far. Excuses were 2 for a penny, but they've all gone out the window of this car. And when I feel the wind on my face, all that ever was is a rise. Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow. Today, well, something's gotta give. Today is a good day. Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow. Today, well, something's gotta give. Today is a good day to live. Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow. Today, well, something's gotta give. Today is a good day. Today
As I was walking back to my car, I noticed this giant chimney and I was like, ooh, I'll go up this. This will be fun for the video. And it was €5 and I instantly regretted it. This was not my brightest idea. This seems a bit sketchy. I have paid to do this. It's 250 steps. And I was like, okay, cardio. Apparently there's a stunning view at the top, but I instantly regret it. This is cardio. So just to note, there is no lift in this. You do have to do it by foot. And if you get a bit vertigo-y, because it's like a spiral staircase, you can get a little dizzy, but it's not too high. This is like a budget version of going to the Guinness Storehouse. The Guinness Storehouse definitely has a much better observation desk where you can have a pint. But this is a good budget option if you're over this direction. I'm just in the door. I got the goods. Also, if I look sweaty, I don't know what I was thinking going up that tower. Okay, I'm gonna show you my mug. Okay, mug time. So it fired, so just like Greta's mug, it has fired darker. And look at it. Okay, what I'll do is I'll get my camera. Look at the inside. Look at all of that great, like blue. And then I've got like the green on the edge. I love it. And my name fired like so clear. So when we were doing it, the lady did say to go over the colours, like if you want them darker. And then I started mixing, and I think if I was to do it again, I would see the way I did like artistic-y brush strokes there. I think you should do it like clearer. My skep turned out nice. I did a skep and then I had all of the bees. So hang on, I get the camera and you can have a close look. Okay, I think this is my best side. So I did the little bee skep with the couple of bees, which it's impressionistic. They look like bees from a distance, but they're just little dots up close. So I painted the handle green. And then I had spilt blue paint, but I think that looks cool. I probably should have done the inside green, but I don't know, the blue is like a pop of contrast. It'll hide my tea stains anyway. And then I just did like, I tried to do some wildflowers. I don't know if they even look like wildflowers. And then bees. And yeah, I think probably could have done a bit more here, a few more bees, a few words. Oh, I put a little sun in. I was going with it. So yeah, there's me mug. Me robin turned out okay. I mean, we could have trimmed down on his wing, but what happens is you can't wipe it off. But I love how it looks so handmade. Like, I'm absolutely in love with that. I know exactly what we need to do right now. We need to go and wash it and make a cup of tea. So someone did ask if like they're food grade or food grade. And yeah, once it gets like fired and glazed, so see the way it's like all shiny. So on the day this was like really matte and it felt like they're all like clay blanks. And if you saw that video, hang on, I'm gonna wash it. Yeah, if you saw that video, there was loads of blanks in the shop. So you didn't have to do a mug. You could have done, there was teapots, there was everything. There was like little small ornaments, candle holders. Those were like the cheapest. So I suppose it is, I mean, you'd spend 30 quid on like a pottery mug, but it is like for you to, I suppose you're doing the design. So that cost included all of the paints, all of the supplies, your 2-hour session, and it included like, hang on, I rinsed this out. It included the firing, the glazing, and then you just have to go back in and collect it. So if it is something you're doing as a tourist, if you're staying in Dublin, you do have to go in and collect it. I'm sure maybe you could ask them. It's not on their website, but they are quite accommodating, because I know Greta collected her mug on a Saturday and they're not advertised as collecting on a Saturday, and they accommodated her. So yeah, and look, my name, I signed it at the bottom. I don't know if you can see my name, but I feel like my name came out quite clear. So I've heard that tea and coffee tastes better from like a pottery mug. I don't know if that's true. I think it is. But I also made sure to go for a big mug. There is a smaller version of this. And I went for a big one because when I make a cup of tea, I make like a mug of tea, like a pint of tea. So I'm going to boil the kettle, and that would be noisy. So we'll come back. My tea might be too hot, but the moment of truth. I mean, my tea tastes like it usually does. I think once it's glazed, it doesn't affect it. But I'm delighted with the size of my mug. I know that there's some pottery mugs that you can get where whatever way they're spun, I don't know if that's the correct term, they can retain the heat for longer. And then there's some that let out the heat for longer. Because I remember like back in 2020 when they lifted some of the restrictions, I went down to Kilkenny with my friends and I got myself a pottery mug, and from one of the gift shops across from the castle. And yeah, I remember breaking it like a year later and I was devastated. But yeah, there's my mug. I'm delighted with that. I think that would be something cute to do with like my niece and nephew. But me and Greta had fun when we were doing it as well. Also, kindly ignore the dishes on the drain. Not aesthetic. I hope you enjoyed today's cozy, slower paced summer video. And yeah, if you feel that pressure in summertime, I suppose any time, but I do think there's certain times of the year, especially on social media, when you click on and it seems everybody is living their hashtag best life. And I love that for people, because we always want to share, the best bits. But I think there's times where I get the comparison more than others, and it's usually summertime and Christmas time. It's always this pressure to be, doing all of the activities. And yeah, if you are just chilling this summer, maybe you're not going away, or I actually booked last night, I booked a gig for next month. So I am not a festival girly. I don't sleep in a tent. Maybe in my 20s I would have, but I like to come home. And there's a gig on next month actually in the Ivy Gardens. And I was like, oh, that would be a nice one to go to. And there were still tickets. So me and my friend are going to go to that. And that will give me something to look forward to, that I'll wear like a nice bit of festival-ish attire. Maybe a bit of glitter on me cheek. But it's not a festival, and I can get me chipper on the way back and go home to my own bed. Because I did that last year. I went to a gig. I think it was out, but I remember I was able to come home. Because like that, typical Ireland, it was lashing rain and we kind of got soaked. So it was so nice to come home to my own bed. Yeah, I think in my 20s I would have slept in a field. Now, no. I paid too much on the mortgage. I may as well enjoy my house. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. I hope if you do have some summer plans, absolutely enjoy them. Live them to their fullest. And if you just have a few small things, then yeah, I hope you enjoy them too. And I think my message today is it's that comparison versus inspiration. Sometimes I feel inspired when I see people doing things because it motivates me to want to do them. But then there's other times where if I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed or a bit shit, that turns into comparison. It's like a thin line with social media, isn't it? So yeah. Here's to having some weekends off during summer and doing nothing. If you're new to the channel, check out the other videos and only subscribe if you like what you see and you enjoyed the videos. And you can, yeah, stick around, say hello in the comment section. And for my regular viewers, a cheeky thumbs up. And I'll see you in the next one.